One thing that really bothers me about reselling, and about resellers, I should say, is whenever there. Okay, this was really cool. This was in a video, and it was just a weird, interesting little item. I wouldn't necessarily. I wouldn't recommend picking it up. All right, it's so. Welcome everyone to the video. Welcome to the channel. Today's the Tuesday What Sold video. On this, on these videos, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I pull usually 5, sometimes a little bit more, depending upon how I feel. We look at 5 cool, unique items that I sold and what they sold for, and I try to look for the cool, unique ones, the ones that might not be so obvious, or there might be an interesting story with it, or they just might have sold so quickly. It's like, wow, that sold amazingly fast, and these things are just sitting around everywhere. Like the video, thumbs up, subscribe, comment down below. Today's Monday, the day I'm actually filming this. That is hospital duty day for me. If you follow the channel, 1 day a week over at the hospital. The rest of the time is all reselling. It's not that I do reselling 24/7. The rest, the 6 days out of the week, I do other stuff. We went over the movies this past weekend. We saw Weapons, which is a really great movie. If you like horror, thriller, mystery, getting into the Halloween spirit, pretty good movie. I really recommend it. It was very, very good. Everybody's getting into a routine in this area in our city, state. Is back to school, so a lot more cars on the road, a lot more traffic. Have my own pickups and drop-offs, and even though I do hospital duty on Mondays, I still got to do mail. I still got to do listings and all that. So I was on the road, take care of that at lunch. I had to stop at Subway, so I got my Subway. That's not typically always stop at Subway. It's once in a while. It's not really my favorite, and I've been filling this up with ice and water the rest of the time. Today, just because it's been, we're on the tail end of a heat wave around here, and by heat wave, it was 87 degrees here today. There's really, the humidity doesn't get crazy, so 87 feels like 87. But nonetheless, anything high 80s, anything above that, we're done. We're toast. But everything's heading back down to the 70s, maybe low 80s, 70s. So that'll be very, very nice. But Subway isn't necessarily my favorite. Over here in California, we have a place called Togo's, which is a little bit more of like an artisan type of sandwich shop. And it's good. It's good. It's not my most favorite, but it is good. There's one over in Morgan Hill, which is a Togo's and a Baskin Robbins together in one. And it's a little bit odd because when you get in there, you smell the deli meat, and then you smell the sweetness of the ice cream, and it kind of just meshes together. And I don't like that one bit. I don't like the smell of the sweet and the deli meat. It's kind of weird. But otherwise, Togo's is pretty good. New, I should say new to our city, because there hasn't been one in our city, is a Nation Burger. Again, another California spot. I think they might have a few locations elsewhere. But I've never tried it. I've always seen it. I've seen it on the road to Stockton. That's where I see their little pop-up sign. I used to see it all the time when I would drive that direction to Tahoe. But I've never actually stopped there before. But apparently they do breakfast. They do burgers. They're known for large burgers. And they do pies as well, too. They have a huge selection of pies. Not that I'm really a pie person. I don't really care for pies at all. But I do like hamburgers, and I do like breakfast, so I might be giving that a try, hopefully pretty soon. And then another interesting tidbit and another interesting fact is, because I'm going to talk about the bins, I need to get back to the bins more often to make more videos at the bins, because I've only been there like 3 days in the last 3 weeks. We were in Reno. We have had some deaths in the family, and so I've just been busy with other things, busy with listing as well, too. And so I've only been there 3 days in the last 3 weeks, so I got to get back out there and make more video content. So I have stuff for my channel. But again, it's not that much of an inconvenience for me to go to the bins. Not like when I had to go over to Salinas. But over by the bins is actually Chuck E. Cheese. And speaking of, we're just talking about food and restaurants and places like that. San Jose was actually the first Chuck E. Cheese. I remember going there when I was a kid. That was the first, I guess, Chuck E. Cheese location. And, now they're kind of all over the country. But I remember going there when I was a kid and, seeing the animatronics. A little bit scary. A little bit, so I'll admit, it was a little bit scary when I was a kid. Seeing those animatronics going. But I just remember the arcades and hanging out in there. The pizza was always, I was a kid. Loved all kinds of pizza. It didn't matter what kind of pizza it was. Could have microwave pizza. It was still good. I still like all kinds of pizza. Even bad pizza is good to me. But either way, San Jose was the first Chuck E. Cheese location. Little facts. Throwing out some facts there for you. What else? Let me show you the stuff I picked up this past weekend. I shot a video over at a regular Goodwill, and I completely botched the video. It was in vertical format the whole time, and I'm like, oh. I rewatched it. I'm like, doggone it. Can't believe I did that. Oh, well. But we picked this up here. If you saw any of my shorts, I picked this up over at Savers. I am not familiar with this at all. Forever Night, some sort of vampire series. But part 3 is the one you really want to look out for this box set. There are part 1 and part 2, which don't really go for as much as part 3 does. And luckily, part 3 was the only one I found. I mean, I probably would have sold them all if I had found them all. Sell them as a big set. Probably would have gone for more of the good set. But this one here last sold for $60. So pretty cool, $60 DVD box set. Definitely something to keep your eye out for. I talk about at the bins. I always look at box sets. I'll pull box sets, look at box sets, look them up, because you never know. This is just kind of cool. It's not really... Look at that, if you know where that's from. Give you a moment. It's from Disneyland. It's from the Haunted Mansion. It's the Hitchhiking Ghost. There you go. And $2.49. Oh, here. $2.49 is what we paid for that. And it's just a little pouch. It's maybe $10, maybe $15. Not really, reselling wise. Maybe you can find it for like $1 or $2. Or brand new might go for more if it has the tags. But really, it's a pouch, so you can open it up. But we're gonna display this for Halloween. We're gonna get a little, like a little picture stand or something for it. It's kind of cool, kind of unique and interesting. We're huge Disneyland fans, and we find it all the time because we are here in California. So, and there's Disneyland in Anaheim, California, or Anaheim, yeah. So we always find Disneyland stuff all the time. Here's another cool item I found. This one was at Goodwill in the video that I may use for short form or TikTok or something or Instagram, but there we go. And this is a cooler for a CPU, for a computer. I'll show you the back. Kind of a diagram or how you would use it here. It's a low profile. You see, it's $9.99 was whatever the price is right up here. But that's how you would use it. This is the motherboard right here. It's a small motherboard. This is you could use this pretty much on any motherboard, really. But this is an ITX size of motherboard. There's ATX. There's ATX. There, actually, what was the other one? ATX. And there's ITX, which is really small. There's even smaller than that. I wonder what the smaller form factors. There are different kinds of form factors. Either way. But this would be used in small setups. If you're building a computer for, like probably something to go with your TV. There are use cases for this. And this is really, really cool. Typically, you would see just small, what we call heat sinks, which would be just like a... have anything around here. It would be like just like a little like a radiator, little small aluminum. You'll have like aluminum with a bunch of fins on it. Usually a fan over the top of it, just blowing air on top of it. The heat would move up through the aluminum. Why aluminum? Aluminum is a great conductor, and it's fairly cheap conductor of heat. Copper, copper is a great conductor as well too, but a little bit more expensive than aluminum. Sometimes they're combinations of aluminum, copper. and they help conduct heat away from the heat source and into the fins, and then you blow air on top of it. It's similar too, because this has a radiator here and it has a fan on the inside as well too, so the heat's kind of pulled up. This is actually a liquid cooler. Not that you have to add liquid to it. It's all, you know, enclosed in this little system here. But there's usually there's a, you know, a thing you would mount to your CPU or wherever the heat source is, because they do make these also for GPUs or graphic processors. Not this specifically, but they do make liquid coolers for that. And then you would mount, you know, the actual, like the part, the copper part would mount to your CPU, and then there would be, you know, it would heat up the liquid that's there, go through the pipes. Well, not really pipes, these are tubes, I should say. Tubes, they go up into the, you know, into the radiator, just like a car. Similar, very similar to a car. Then there's a fan on there, blows over the radiator, cools everything down. The whole cycle just repeats itself over and over again. So, I don't think I explained that really well at all. But either way, it's a cooler. It helps keep your computer cool, basically, is what it is. Look at, oh no. Oh, here, you see, that's the copper pipe. That's the copper pipe. Copper. It's a flat copper piece. It sits on top of the CPU. Copper plates. That's the word I was looking for. But either way, I found this over at Goodwill. I knew what it was. And I was like, all right, cool. So I opened it up. And it is not used. At least I don't think it was ever used. Because, and the reason, one of the ways you can tell if these are used or not is, okay, so this is the actual, like, the fans right there. And you see the radiator here. But if you look here on this, on the copper plate right here, that gray part right there is not aluminum. That is thermal paste, and so it helps with the conduction of the heat. And so you see it there, and usually, typically on a lot of these, they will have pre-applied paste on there, and typically that's exactly how it looks. It'll just be a little square patch, and if it's been used, it will either be not there or it'll be, you know, all weird. All wongo. And so this apparently hasn't been used. I'll probably have to sell it as used. I haven't gone through and made sure all the, because it'll come with all the brackets and everything for it to be able to mount it. There are all kinds of different what we call sockets. Different sockets for your CPU goes into. And so they have different, you know, they have different holes for mounting on there. You know, they could be you know, AMD has their certain format. Intel has their certain format. They have a format that's, you know, 5 years old. They have a modern format. And so they will typically include all the necessary hardware to use it for, you know, 2 years out, 3 years, you know, whatever. Either way. Not finding the right words today right now. But I spotted this. I can't find any used listed right now. Only new. And new, probably looking around $60 to $70. So I'm thinking somewhere around the $40-ish range. We will see. I'm going to get it listed. And first I need to determine if all the pieces are there. And then I'll get it listed. And pretty cool. Pretty cool item. Now this is something that, okay. I guess I wasn't going to really talk about anything reseller wise, or, you know, reseller news or reselling. I mean, I guess the whole channel is about reselling, right? But I wasn't going to bring up anything else other than, you know, showing these items and what sold. But one thing that really bothers me about reselling and about resellers, I should say, is whenever there is a hot product. Let's just say Labubu for right now, because that's the hottest, you know, one of the hottest things. It's actually kind of, you know, starting to dwindle down. Like the craze is not really there. Not like it used to be. And from what I've seen and what I find is a lot of these like fads and everything that happen, they kind of start on either coast, usually West Coast, and then And more specifically, like north, northeast coast. A lot of these fads kind of start, and then they kind of, head inward, and people start, they start dying off on the coast, but then people start to pick up on it, in the Midwest and all that, and around here we're already looking like there used to be lines of that Pop Mart, Pop Mart place. A couple of years ago, I was like, why are there lines at this place? Like, who's lining up? Why are they lining up at it's a little vending machine in the mall? And it's been there for a while now, and I'm like, man, why are people lining up for that thing? And then I discovered this Labubu thing, and and now there's no lines or anything like that. I've seen Labubus in those machines already, like sitting there, so you can kind of see that the fad is dying out. But either way, the one thing that bothers me about resellers, reseller, is the fact that whenever there is, some sort of hot product, and what I mean by hot product is something that is just selling like crazy. There's, the demand is really, really high, and, the supply is low. So they're selling like hotcakes. Well, resellers will step into that realm and start to find these items, and they will not only meet that demand, but they will exceed that demand. They will just start, they see maybe, okay, there's only 10 listed, there's 40 sold, so that kind of gives you an idea that, okay, there's quite a bit of demand for this product, so let's go out and find these products. And then you get one reseller doing it, two resellers doing it, and then they just overload the market. And then what happens is they push so much product of that product onto the market that the demand just crashes. There's way too much supply, and a lot of a lot of businesses, outside of what we do, reselling, other businesses, they're well aware of this, supply and demand. And I've talked about this before, they try to reach an equilibrium with supply and demand. They don't want to just flood the market with supply, but they also don't want to have they also don't want to, overwhelm, the market with supply, but they also don't want to do the opposite, which is undersupply. So they want to kind of have a nice balance with everything. It's all a delicate balancing act. But resellers, when they see a hot product, something selling like hotcakes, they're like, let's go, buy, get them listed, sell, more, get more supplies. They just bombard the market with all kinds of stuff. And then what happens? The prices on all these items crash. I know there's a guy trying to unload locally a bunch of Labubus themselves, and he can't get rid of them. He's like, the market's crashing on him, and he can't get rid of them at all. Nobody's buying anymore. I mean, they're still buying. They're just not, commanding the price that they used to. And we kind of saw this. Why I even bring it up? Because this kind of reminded me, computer products and computer accessories, components, and all that kind of remain pretty resilient to that. If you go up and look NVIDIA GPUs, NVIDIA graphics cards, you're going to see a flooded market is what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of product out there. AMD, you're going to see Intel products, you're going to see motherboards, cooling solutions. You're going to see a market that is flooded with product. But computer stuff sells all the time. It's kind of has a, there are times where the market does become flooded with product and starts to drive the prices down. It does occur, but it doesn't really, like during the Bitcoin, when everybody was, mining Bitcoin, mining Ethereum and everything. Yes, the prices started going up. But, they did crash, but they kind of fell back to normal where they would have been at no matter what. I still sell vintage GPUs or graphics cards, vintage CPUs, vintage motherboards all the time for great profit. it's just a market that is kind of, what's the right word? Insulated. A market that doesn't really feel that effect uh, of oversupply. It can. Don't get me wrong. It can feel it from time to time, but for the most part, there's always a buyer for computer parts, no matter what. There's always a buyer for computer parts. Now, like I said, go search NVIDIA products. Go search AMD products. You're going to see thousands and thousands listed, and you're going to see thousands and thousands sold. You know, it's something that is always kind of consistent. It will always be an area where if you do specialize in that area and if you do resell in that area, it's always going to be great. It's always going to be good. It's just like video games, video game stuff, video game products, accessories, and all that. There's always going to be a market for that. Yes, the prices are going to spike at certain points, but then they're going to fall back down to a normal price range that typically would be at, no matter what. But the ones, like Labubus, like the one example I used, there's going to be a point where they just completely crash, and, they're probably worth... Everyone always compares everything to Beanie Babies, I don't think we'll ever see a Beanie Baby event. Again, I mean, we probably might, but, I don't think we'll ever see a Beanie Baby event again. But, the prices definitely will come down. There will be fads. And, but computer stuff, computer products tend to be an outlier when it comes to that. And they're always, no matter what no matter how flooded the market looks, there's always going to be a buyer for graphics cards. There's always going to be a buyer for products like this. And especially something like this here, which is a very, very special use case, very unique use case for this type of product. I use something, not like this, but I use a, what we call an AIO, or an all-in-one liquid cooler. And it's in my computer over here. I do use one there for my... you can get custom too. You can customize it as well too. But these all-in-ones are really, really great, and they do very, very well provide great cooling for your high-performance products. High-performance product or products. Okay. Either way, let's move on here. What am I doing here? Wrong mouse. There's always a buyer for mice. There's always a buyer for keyboards. The keyboard market is crazy. There was a recent keyboard. Oh man, what was it called? I was just reading about it too. It was a new high-end keyboard. It's supposed to be. It's the Cadillac, or I shouldn't even say Cadillac. It is the Rolls Royce of keyboards. It's something like around $10,000. So people are obsessed over keyboard. I'm one of them, obsessed over keyboards and mice and all this other stuff. So when it comes to tech, there's always a market for tech. I'm trying to get to my my pictures here for the what sold. I'm just realizing I didn't set this up ahead of time. So bear with me. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, got it all here. Let me just quickly get this, edit this one, open up that, and it should be appearing. There we go, perfect. All right. So, I wonder if this made it into a video, because I know I picked up the bins. It was on a graduation hat, and I just took the tassel off, because I didn't really want the hat. The hat, pretty generic. I wanted the tassel. A little more unique, and it's 1998, so specific, very specific to somebody that graduated in 1998. Pretty sure there are quite a few people that graduated in 1988. And then the colors, it was a gold or yellow and black. So, I'm pretty sure there's quite a few, either colleges or high schools, that had this color scheme. And this sold incredibly fast. It sold within about 5 days, I believe. So, definitely within a week. I mean, we're not getting rich here. What am I doing here? I'm doing the wrong thing here. We're not getting rich. We're not, it's not. It was just a very, very good product to find in the bins, because it didn't weigh very much at all. I've got it. Okay. Do not disturb. A very great product to find at the bins, like just to throw on top of stuff because it didn't add any more to the weight at all. And what did it go for? It was like 9 something, close to $10. There we go. $9.59 is what it sold for. $5.83 what they paid in shipping. So we definitely made some money on the shipping on this one, because this was right around just over an ounce with the packaging. Small padded poly bag is what this went into. So really, really cool. Definitely keep your eye out for these tassels. They still sell. Nothing crazy. So if you're at a, I wouldn't pay more than $1 or anything for it. So if you see it at a Goodwill or anything like that, price around $2, $3, $4, I'm passing it up. But if I see it at the bins, if I see it at a flea market, and I'm just throwing it into a pile of other things, I'm picking it up. It's an extra, around $10 or so sale. Where are we going here? Oh, here we go. Okay, this was really, really cool. This was in a video, and it was just a weird, unique, interesting little item. I wouldn't necessarily, I wouldn't recommend picking it up. All right, it sold for $35. Is what it sold for. $35, $6.21 what they paid in shipping. Small box, 6x6x6 size box. Just cool, unique, interesting. You can't pay too much for it because stuff like this you can't pay too much for because you have no idea, what people are ultimately going to pay. I got an offer for $35 and I accepted it. So you have no idea what people are going to pay for these types of items. It's a weird, unique piece. The name D10 was printed on this, and I discovered there was a SoCal, so Southern California, artist. And so I just went with all the keywords there. Little spider bot, steampunk. It was just a cool, unique piece, and I kind of liked it, and it just so happened to work out that it sold. I wouldn't recommend necessarily picking it up. Would I pick it up in the future? Probably not. It took about 2.5 months to sell, and yeah, I probably wouldn't have picked it up. And if I see something like this in the future, I would leave it behind. But it is cool, it's unique. I guess there was a buyer out there somewhere. Who knows? That might have been the only buyer for this type of item. But pretty cool. I mean, it's a cool piece, unique. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. It did sell though. It sold. So let's go. Tassel. We're going backwards here. We're not going. We gotta go forward. Now here's something way more into my wheelhouse. IBM Scroll Point Pro mouse. Now this is pretty cool. I picked this up last week, and I got, if I'm not mistaken, I got it for $1.50. It was either $1.50 or $2. Nonetheless, it's over $50.54. $5.83 what they paid in shipping. Small padded poly bag is what this went into. But this was actually a really cool, unique mouse. And so these Scroll Point mice are not necessarily unique, and they don't really go for that much. But this is the ergonomic version of this mouse. So definitely one to look out for. I wasn't sure if it would go for $50, but I priced it up to be around that price point. There were some listed brand new or open box, up over $100. This one I could have probably got a little bit more, but there was some not damage but discoloration on the bottom. So I was like, I kind of priced around 50, and I was like, oh my god, 50! I'm like, I'm excited. That's pretty good. So really cool. I sell mice all the time. I sell mice and keyboards all the time. Like I said, there's always a market for this type of stuff. Look for the cool, interesting, unique ones. They do really well. I've talked about this before. Here's one of my, this is my personal Grail mouse, real Logitech. Cordless optical TrackMan. Really cool. One of my favorites from way back in the day. I remember when this originally came out. And they don't make this design anymore. There's actually a company, and I believe I mentioned this in a video before, and I was going to look it up, and I didn't. There's a company that makes this style of mouse again, and they go for up over $100 used. And I think they're around $150 or $200 or $250 if I'm not mistaken. If I think retail. Because this style is, I don't know why they don't make this style anymore. This is the one that they use a lot now. I don't know, the thumb to me, it feels kind of clumsy me using that one, but this one here is really, really precise. I have a Microsoft variant down here as well too. That one I used all the time when playing Call of Duty 2. One of the best Call of Duties. A Battlefield and 20. What was the one of my favorites was Battlefield with 2142 when they were in the future. That was pretty cool too. I was a part of the War Pigs clan, if anybody is familiar. Oops, what did I do here? There we go. But really, really cool mice. And me, tech person, are obsessed with these types of products and always looking for them and always looking out for products we used to use that we loved and enjoyed. What is next? Keep going backwards. Okay, now this is pretty cool. Very, very interesting. One of those pieces that technically it really shouldn't sell for that much, but if you use the right keywords, if you have the right, I don't know, it sold for $20. I would just say $20.08 and what it sold for. $5.34 what they paid in shipping. Small padded poly bag is what it went into. I wouldn't pay $20 for something like this, but when I saw it, got this on the wall at Savers, I was like, you know what? That's a really cool watch. I really like the background of that watch. I love the beach theme. I like the beach. Me and my family, we love the beach. And I saw the beach theme on it, and I was like, it's good, it's clean. It's got to be in great condition. Not necessarily working. This is working. I did put a battery in it. And I definitely recommend, putting batteries in watches. It'll help them sell. Don't go, get them put them in yourself. Learn how to do it yourself. It's way too expensive taking it to somebody to put a battery in it. But I really like the theme, and I thought it was really cool, and I thought I could get it sold. And I was assuming someone would probably shoot me an offer around $15 for it, but someone bought it full asking price. I'm like, all right, cool. That's cool. It's even better. And like I said, would I pay $20 for this type of watch? No, I wouldn't. But I was kind of like, in the back of my head, I was like, I know somebody would pay something for it. I know somebody would make, I know I would make money on it. And sure enough, it did. I did. It's that, I talk about it. It's that sixth sense that, many sellers have. They can see these items. They can envision it. They can envision the purchase. They can envision the customer. And you know what? I'm going to buy it, and I know I can get it sold. And sure enough, it sold. I think you saw this, one of these words, whimsical, already in 2 products I sold this time. I didn't do that on purpose, by the way, either. It just so happened that whimsical, apparently, is a word that people are looking for. And speaking of whimsical, even though I didn't use this in here, and I don't think I needed to, Lisa Frank, incredibly popular, 90s, Y2K. These are some gloves. We're going into the colder season. Believe it or not, people are purchasing colder, items that are for the colder seasons. Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving. Those things are selling right now. You gotta get them listed right now. Matter of fact, right now, it's probably already too late for a lot of stuff, for Halloween stuff already. People are buying now. So, Lisa Frank. You should know about Lisa Frank. If you're a reseller and you're involved in, stationery, clothing for that matter, you should know Lisa Frank does incredibly well. There is some more modern Lisa Frank stuff. Not really sure where or when these were made, but because Lisa Frank is associated with 90s, which why I threw 90s in there, dolphin, snow, mittens. They don't have the fingers. It's just the complete, mitten. Winter gear. So really, really cool. Definitely keep your eye out for this stuff. Did I say the watch? The watch went in a small padded poly bag? I don't remember. This went into a large padded poly bag. Sold for $30. And $5.41 is what they paid in shipping. So really, really cool. I remember Lisa Frank, you know, because I grew up with sisters and they all love Lisa Frank. So really, really cool piece. Definitely keep your eye out. There, like I said, there is some more modern Lisa Frank stuff that doesn't do as well as the vintage stuff. Not sure where these mitts fall into that, whether they're vintage or not. No idea. But they're really, really cool. And I've never seen Lisa Frank mittens or gloves. And we're coming into the season, so they sold. Really, really cool. Otherwise, it's not cool right now where I'm at. I wish it were cooler right now. And it's going to get cooler here as we start to get more in the evening. But, and tomorrow it's supposed to cool down. It's supposed to cool down even more after that. Either way, it's enough for me talking. Talking way too much. At least I feel like I was talking way too much right now. That's a wrap. That's a wrap for the video. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Otherwise, see you in the next one. Hey, you've made it to the end. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video by hitting the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel by hitting my little round icon down below. It really does help us out here. Also, you'll find a couple of selections. You'll see a playlist of videos to watch and my most recent video that I did upload.